Hi, everybody. Hi, second graders. I am here with a story today called The Coastal Dune Drama by Catherine Seeds Nash. The first page. It was a beautiful sunshiny morning on the dunes, and Bob the gopher tortoise had just finished digging his very first full-length burrow. He'd been digging smaller ones ever since he hatched, but this was his first 15-footer. It went deep under the ground, 6.5 feet, just like his mama's. He was so proud. After all that work, Bob was parched and went searching for the prickly pear cactus. And parched, what do you think that means? Yeah, it means that he's thirsty from all that hard work. Once his thirst was quenched with the juicy fruit, he headed back over the sand to his beloved burrow to rest. When he arrived, he saw Trey, the Florida mouse, pack-ratting supplies in his burrow. That's another good vocabulary word. What do you think burrow means? Yeah, burrows where they live. Hey, Trey, Bob called. This is my new home. Go find your own home. Disappointed, Trey scurried away. Bob remembered his mama telling him the importance of being neighborly, but he felt like this was crossing the threshold. It's like crossing the line. He's like, that's enough. The next morning, Bob went searching for more of that yummy prickly pear cacti. In the distance, he saw some humans. He was used to seeing them across the road, heading over the dunes. But today, a young one was coming closer to him. Before he knew it, the small human had picked him up and carried him away from his home. Oh no, what's going on? He wondered. Is he going to eat me? So you've seen humans before, but all of a sudden this boy is picking him up and he's like, what's going on? What's happening? The little human carried him across the road and down a long path to the beach. Bob heard the mother human taking notice of Bob and telling her offspring that it was illegal to pick up gopher tortoise and to put him down. The juvenile human, which means the young kid, did as he was told and set Bob down, leaving him there alone. Mama told him about the ocean and the beach and to stay away from nearby marine and ecosystems because they were too wet to dig his burrow. He needed the stable or dry sand of the coastal upwards to scrub. So it's too wet near the water for his burrow. So his mom always told him he had to be further away with dry sand for his burrow. But here he is, boy put him down and he's in the middle of the beach here. So let's see what's going to happen. Bob turned towards the dunes to head home, trudging along and noticed plants he did not recognize. Suddenly, David, the four-spotted pennant dragonfly, buzzed by. Bob, is that you? David called. Yes, David, Bob replied excitedly. But David landed on Bob's back. What are you doing so far from home, little one? I'm lost. Can you help me, David? Bob pleaded. Of course, Bob. I know this whole area. To get back home, stay the course you're on and get past the beach and for the dune. When you no longer see the plants like this beach cordgrass and the sea oats, sea purslane and railroad vine up there, you'll be in your kind of habitat. Though overwhelmed with all the new plant names, Bob thanked David and continued to tramp over the sand, noticing some species of plants he knew from his home. Bob got excited, but he realized he did not recognize the surroundings. Confused, Bob began circling around. Should he go back? Should he keep going? So he told Bob all about the different grass, all about the different plants that he needed to find his way back home. But he's lost and he's confused and he doesn't know what to do. What do you think's going to happen with Bob? You think he's going to find his way back home? Let's see. And this is the beach cordgrass and the sea oats and the railroad vine. These are all the different plants that you find at the beach. Dennis, the Florida scrub jay, noticed Bob in distress. and flew to see what was the matter. You're quite a ways from home, Bob. Why are you here? Dennis, a young human kidnapped me and then let me go on the beach. David, the four-spotted pennant dragonfly, helped direct me home, but I think I'm lost again. Dennis nodded his head and explained, You've entered the coastal scrub ecosystem. Bob, but this is still far from your burrow. Follow the plants you saw. You see the saw palmetto, the Florida privet, rosemary Spanish bonnier, and the prickly pear cactus, and you'll find your way to the road just before your home. The humans road fragmented your habitat, but once you cross the road, you'll be back to your neighborhood where your burrow is. Relieved, Bob thanked Dennis for his assistance. My pleasure, Bob. Just be careful of the fire ants. Oh, so fire ants are those red ants, and those are the ones that can bite you. They're an exotic species and have a nasty sting. Hungry, Bob ate some of his favorite prickly pear cactus fruit before he took Dennis's directions and slowly made his way through the scrub. So let's see, he's going to follow all of Dennis's directions to try to get back home, but he's still a little far away. Finally, he came to the top of the bank at the side of the human's road. If he could have jumped for joy, he would have, for he knew that his burrow was not far from here. Buzz! Buzz whipped his head around and saw David, the four-spotted pennant dragonfly, hovering above him. Hi, David. I'm almost home. I see that, Bob. You make good progress. You may even beat the afternoon showers. You still have to get across the road, though. Sounding concerned, David asked, Have you ever crossed a road before, Bob? So he has to go across this road, which is kind of hard to do, right? So let's see if he could do that. No, Bob replied, confused by David's tone, but it's just a short distance to the other side. Yes, Bob, but you need to stop and look both ways and listen, because humans travel down this road inside huge, dangerous shells. The human shell is so heavy, it could crush you. I've heard those before. They sound scary. Yes, Bob, they're even scarier than the fire dunes, David replied. So he has to watch out. What do you think he has to watch out for? He has to watch out for cars going by. So this is pretty scary for Bob. He's never done that before. Thank you, David, for taking time to help me today. I don't know what I would have done without you and Dennis's help. How can I ever repay you? We're all part of the community, Bob, right? Thanks to David and Dennis, Bob would have never found his way home. He would have been stuck there on the beach because that's where the boy put him. So thanks to David and Dennis, he knew how to follow the plants and where to go and how to be closer to his home. So they were helping him. So that was nice. We're all part of the community, Bob. What happens to each of us affects the other, especially you as a keystone species. What? Bob wondered. You're special, Bob. As a gopher tortoise, you're a keystone species, which means a lot of other animals depend on you. So a gopher tortoise is a keystone species. These species look to you for safety. So all of these species here, the prickly pear cactus, Florida mouse, the gopher frog, the whip scorpion, the saw palmetto, and the eastern indigo snake. Bob didn't quite understand what David was talking about, but he did seem to remember several other animals in his mama's burrow when he hatched. Thinking about his mama made him think of the smells of home and how he could smell them now. So gopher tortoise is a very important animal. A lot of other animals depend on him. Exactly. Bob started down the bank and onto the road. Halfway across, he heard rumbling. Oh, no. Bob looked both ways and he listened as David instructed, but he must have been too slow crossing the road. He looked up and saw a monster coming at him. It was loud and made the earth shake. Bob tried to hurry across, but it was too late. Terrified, Bob drew his feet and head, hoping the shell would protect them from the human's monster. Whoosh! The human shell ran right over Bob. The dust was flying. Chaos was everywhere. But where was Bob? Bob. Oh no. Let's see what happened to Bob. As the dust cleared, Bob's shell disappeared again, seemingly intact. He heard the monster disappear in the distance, and he slowly opened up his eyes and realized he survived unharmed. The human shell must have been high energy enough off the ground just to miss Bob. So it was kind of like a big truck, right? So it was kind of high off the ground. So it went right over him and not on top of him. It was a hard experience that Bob did not want to repeat. So he quickly emerged from his shell and moved lickety-split across the road. Panting, Bob began the last leg of his journey up the bank to his neighborhood. The feeling of jubilation energized him as he began to recognize his surroundings. There was a prickly pear cactus he visited yesterday, just up ahead his burrow. In the distance, Bob heard thunder rumbling, already moving. He picked up his pace and he beat the rain that began sprinkling down. So he just beat the rain that was coming, those afternoon showers. As Bob approached the entrance to his burrow, he noticed some footprints. Curious, he stopped at the opening and peered inside. He didn't see anyone. Rain started to fall, so he rushed into his home. Oh, his sweet home, right? He finally made it to his home. Alarmed, he saw a new hole dug in the side of the burrow's wall. Hello? Trey, the Florida mouse, appeared. Bob, you're back! I'm sorry you were gone for so long. I thought you were gone for good. I know you don't want me here, but may I stay until the storm is over? Trey, I'm so glad to see you. You don't have to leave ever. I learned so much about friendship, right? Remember in the beginning, he was like, oh, he's asking me too much. I'm not going to do that. And now he realized what it's like to help and be a community, right? Because David and Dennis helped him so much. Without David and Dennis, he would have never made it home. So now he realizes what it really means to be a friend. And he's like, yes, of course, to Trey, the Florida mouse. Of course you can stay here. I'm so happy you're my friend. Mi casa es su casa, amigo. What? Trey asked. Bob grinned. My house is your house, my friend. Trey grinned and timidly revealed, Seth, the eastern indigo snake, was in the back of the burrow, also seeking refuge from the storm. Bob's eyes opened wide. He said, that's okay. We all need a little help from our friends, right? Even the scorpion is there. So it's nice to help your friends because you never know when you need help. Sometimes you may need help. So it's really nice to have your friends. It's really nice to help out your friends because you never know when you need help. And it's raining, so they need shelter. So he's helping out all his friends so they have shelter. From time to time, as I did today, let me tell you about today's drama on the coastal dune. Trey, Bob finally relaxed in a safe, cozy burrow and relayed the traumatic tale. And he told everybody the story about what happened to him today. And that was the coastal dune drama by Catherine Seeds Nash. I hope you enjoyed that story. It's very educational with nature and ecology, and it's very interested in that way. So I hope you learned some new facts. And it's a great theme to dealing with friendship. So there's a lot that you could do with this story. I sent you some materials and some lessons that you could do with the story, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, everyone.